Okay, well, welcome to the pre-show for recording of WP-Tonic on Timelines. And it is Sunday, of course, September 27th. I will probably do, I'll do a post-production for the intro, Jason. So this is just a pre-show. I'm crazy busy. I do a show every day. We do a lot of different formats. And this Mac thing yesterday threw me off. But a couple of things. I wish I had my mixer here, my backup. It's verified now for the last 2 weeks. Blab has had problems, even though it sounds good now. We've been getting clicking in it. And when I do post-production, I've been declicking, and I was getting as many 800 clicks taken out. Wow. And yesterday was 250. So we're not getting the perfect sound that I like to get. Right. I contemplated not even using Blab for the podcast, but going up on Skype because of the issues. They are improving, though. So that's on a little Blab update. But boy, what a frustrating day with Apple here. I mean, I'm actually going into Apple Care at 12 o'clock today. I have an appointment because my MacBook Pro solid state hard drive. I ran a system on it, and it's actually starting to go. My MacBook Pro, the hard drive.
You're cursed, Bill. You're cursed.
State. So it's been cursed. Jason, I apologize. I have my homework. I've been really busy trying to produce.
Shall I tell you, Bill?
Yeah.
So Jason is the host and would I say founder of WPwatercooler.
Oh, really? Yeah, I've definitely.
And he does also another show called WP Blab. And I thought, Jason, what we could talk about is that our monthly topic is graphics. So I'd like to touch a little bit about your experience with graphics, doing graphics, what you use, blah, blah, blah. And then maybe we talk about how you develop WPwatercooler, how much work it is, give some insight to the viewer about the kind of commitment and work you got to do to organise that and do the production. Also with Bill, maybe go into how you do post-production of the show. So Bill, maybe you could have a few questions with Jason about the post-production. How does that sound, folks?
That sounds good. Because we've got a lot of podcasts going. I use a lot of systems, but you use Blab too, right?
Yeah, I use Blab, and I also use Hangout.
Yeah, Hangout. And I use Call Recorder and Skype. But I wish I had my mixer here set up because if I was backing this up on my RL5, we'd probably get pretty good sound.
So I think because of your experience, Jason, and also Bill's, I think we could touch the graphics, but then we should really go into maybe the running and the date, the planning, the running. Give some insight because of your experience, I think the viewers, listeners would get some value from that. Right.
Real fast, Jason. Did you happen to fill out one of our apps? I don't think you did.
I don't think I did.
No, okay, don't worry. Okay, never mind. We're not going to do that. Normally we do
my people didn't get a hold of your people, so it didn't work out.
I'm happy to have you. That's right. I know. I saw the messages going back and forth. I don't even know. I swear to God, 3 minutes before we came up, I was on with Apple support.
Rebecca, I had an email from Rebecca Gill. She says, your email always ends up in my junk folder. So I emailed her back and I said, that you probably set up a rule so that happened.
Hey, are you using like a MacBook Pro here with your camera on it right now?
Yeah, I'm using a MacBook Pro, but I'm using a Logitech, the 920?
I've got the 920 and 930, but without the app. I don't have my
yeah, and I'm using Minicam as the kind of the router for the video stuff, so I can do switching and lower thirds and all that fun stuff.
Yeah. Minicam. It's not Cam Twist. It's Minicam.
Yeah, it's a competitor of Cam Twist, but
do not put Cam Twist in your computer.
That thing just eats the computer up.
Yeah, it goes into the kernel. I had Google help me get Cam Twist out. I had to go in the kernel.
He had Bulgarian.
I have Bulgarian finally. It's great support because
God knows what you put.
Apple could not get Cam Twist out. I have a premium. I have one of my iMacs as premium support that 3 years. Yeah. And Apple could not get Cam Twist out of the kernel.
Wow.
I had to get a Bulgarian from Google Business to help me get it out.
We can help you. Sorry, I've been really racist, folks. I love Bulgarians.
He's great. He's a great guy.
They're great people.
He's on the Christmas list now.
Hey, so we recorded all this, which is good content. I hope it's not crackling. Hey, do you guys go right off of Blab into podcasting?
You mean when we do the? Yeah, well, For WP Blab, we actually don't do a podcast at all for it. We just push it straight to YouTube, and that's it.
That's smart. Yeah, that's smart. In fact,
so Bill, I have double checked this. It is episode 83.
Oh, it says on the front. I put up that schedule now, which is real nice.
Yeah.
So
I have double checked. I'm
going to go back and just do post production. So what we do is, let me just do a sort of mini intro, and then Jonathan, you take it in. So it is Saturday, WP-Tonic, 220-82. You said 83?
It is 83. I've double checked.
How is happening?
I have double checked, Bill. It's 83.
Because I set these links up a week ago, and they're up on the schedule. So it's 83. It's not 82.
It's 83, Bill.
Excuse my language. We're not putting that on podcast. Okay, let's get ready for the podcast. Let's just take a couple second silence. Let's pray for a while after the way it's going here.
I do work at a church, so that works out.
Are you in San Diego, first of all?
Jason, every episode I pre-pray.
Okay, here I'm gonna start the intro. I'm something crazy here, and then I'll do the post production because I'll get. Okay, here we go. Welcome to WP-Tonic and Timelines, Saturday, February 27th, and it's 9 a.m. in the morning, and I'm surviving Apple. They're going to have to do a restraining order on me on the Apple Store today, I think, as I go down there at 12 o'clock. Like, it seems like when everything implodes, it implodes all at once. Hey, today we have Jason Tucker on from WP-Watercooler, really famous, very successful show. This is about graphics on WP-Tonic, but, we're going a different direction today. It's going to be broad-based, but it'll be a great show. Jonathan, take it away, and we'll be taking a break in about 10 minutes and see how it goes.
Oh, thanks, Jason, for coming on the show. We've been looking forward to the chat. I have joined in on some of Jason's shows, and I call him Uncle Jason. I just want to explain the endearment of that, Jason, because actually Auntie and Uncle are linked to like the BBC. So I'm comparing you to the BBC, Jason. So
awesome, thank you.
It's just a great compliment, isn't it? So. We've got a monthly theme, Jason, and I thought we'd just quickly talk about graphics and what tools and methodologies you use to handle them for your shows and that. And then we go into the amount of work you've got to put into WaterCooler and WP Blab. And then my co-host, Bill Conrad, can ask some questions on the podcasting side. How's that sound, Jason?
Perfect. Let's do it.
One thing, Bill, we've got a slight echo. Is it from me, do you think? Or all right, so that should be really interesting, Jason. So we'll start off with graphics. So what tools do you basically use when you're handling your graphics for your website, Jason?
Yeah, well, so at the church that I work at, I take care of all of the web type stuff, and so that's my day job, is to do web development and such. And so what ends up happening is people that are designers and stuff will do the design work, and then they'll send it to me in a couple different ways, either as a PSD file, so I'm using Photoshop, or as a sketch file, and then I use Sketch to be able to pull that in and look at all of the layouts and stuff, and then kind of start ripping it apart and telling them what they can and can't do in web development. So Sketch is pretty handy for that, because you can at least kind of start with mobile first and then work your way up to desktop and beyond. So yeah, Sketch has been a kind of a big lifesaver for me.
Is that the iMac or the Mac Sketch, the Apple Sketch, for about $100? Yeah.
Yeah, it won. It was a 2014 or 2015 Design Award. And then promptly the next year, they dropped themselves out of the App Store because they exceed the stuff that you can only do in the App Store, that they just we don't really care about using iCloud or anything. So because that's pretty much one of the main reasons why you'd want to have your app in the App Store. So they ditched that, and now they are kind of going independent, and they're doing quite well.
One thing, that's a good point right there. Learning about the App Store and buying products. I have some products that aren't bought in the App Store, which work fine, but anything in the App Store today, I can't get to because I can't certify my computer. Unbelievable. because anything I have, our normal login or sign in, like Call Recorder or any of the other apps. But the App Store is totally toast today because of a resetting. So
I feel a slight stress and a slight hatred towards Apple, Bill.
No, I love Apple, but I love Apple. They just need to fix their friggin' certification. I've had this happen twice in the last 2 years.
Somebody said Bill a Chromebook.
Honestly, I have a Chromebook. We have one of our shows is a political show, and we're finding that Chromebook is actually amazing for the value what we're getting.
Yeah. So, Sketch, I'm still using Fireworks a bit. I know Adobe ditched it about 2 years ago.
Well, at least you're not using Image Ready, so that's good.
No, I'm not that old, but I just and Sketch, I think, is the kind of took over. I thought Fireworks was a great product. It mixed Vector and Pixel together, and I think Photoshop is fantastic. But I always thought Fireworks was a more appropriate mixture for if you're trying to do graphics for websites. But that's just my personal opinion. So we
also use Pixlr too. Pixlr's another good one if you're wanting to use something that doesn't have all the bells and whistles, but at least get you partway there. Let's use layers and all that sort of stuff. So those are the things I use for my day job. Now, you're asking about on WP-Watercooler or any of the other shows that we're doing. Yeah. I use a couple different things for that. So I'm pretty mobile. Like I'm driving to and from work. I'm walking around. I'm doing a lot of things where I'm not sitting in front of a computer. And so one of the things that I've been using to kind of do quick art is something called oh darn. I thought I had it in my head and then it disappeared. Word, what is that thing called? Word something. Oh shucks.
How about if I throw out some names?
Yeah.
PicMonkey.
Yeah, PicMonkey's good.
Yeah, PicMonkey, Canva. Some people use Canva a little bit.
WordSwag.
I haven't heard of that one. WordSwag.
So WordSwag, it's great because if you're not a designer, but you want to have something that looks kind of artistic, you can type in some words and then hit a little dice that will kind of do a randomization of different graphics layouts and then spit out the layout for you.
Oh well, yeah, I think a lot of graphic designers would like that. Give you some free ideas, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
So, WordSwag, folks. Hopefully
that's on iOS.
Hopefully my co-host will find the URL.
I just dropped it in already.
Oh, great. He's so efficient, folks.
Canva is a huge one.
The Apple Store.
Yeah. Canva is a huge one. I love Canva, and I've been kind of pushing the Canva idea out to a lot of our people during my day job. I'm like, if you need to do basic design work where you just slap a couple logos on top of things and move some backgrounds and stuff, it's the perfect way to go for that.
Yeah, I use it as a kind of idea tool just to quickly do some pre-knock-ups, get some ideas. And I also think it deals with, all these insane different ratios for different social media platforms. It does really help with that because you can really waste a lot of time, and it's a bit of a time saver, isn't it, Jason?
It sure is. Yeah, it's a great tool to use.
So what about your social media, getting your images for all your social media? Is it Canva that you rely, or you got some other, you got some kind of system that you utilize to get your images, or?
Canva and WordSwag, those are the two that I use for almost all of my graphic type stuff. I'm not a graphics person. Like I'm not a designer. And so anything that can do the design for me is huge. So if I just need to have some text with a logo and some type of background, I slap that on there and hit the randomize button until I find something that works, and then go run with it.
Yeah, I thought we'd do this. The kind of theme is graphics for non-designers. That's been the theme of this month, because a lot of people that are managing, owning, running websites, they got like a lot of different hats to wear, and they might get some of the get a graphic designer in to help them with the initial design of the website or some logo, but when they're actually running it on a week to week, most people can't afford the cost of having a designer help them all the time. So in the end, they do end up having to do graphics, don't they, Jason?
They do, yeah. Especially if you end up with a few different raw assets, and they say, well, slap those together and make something show up on the website. You're like, oh, great. I guess I got to figure something out here. Let's load up Preview and see what I can do with Preview,
Just roll the dice. Just roll the dice.
So yeah, no, we when especially during my day job, I have the benefit of having multiple designers on staff. So being able to ask them for the types of things that I need and showing them what specs I'm using and how I'm building this thing out. It works really well for us, and I'm able to get the information I need and get it sent over to us.
So you don't mind me? Hopefully you won't mind. But so obviously you're the are you the Mr. IT for this? Is it quite a large church in Los Angeles? So I get the impression that you wear a lot of different hats.
I do.
In this organisation, but I also get the impression that they've got a reasonable amount of staff. Is that correct?
Yeah, we have close to about 70 people on staff, about 100 paid and unpaid employees. I'm director of IT, so I take care of all of the IT work that happens there, including the web. So I do the web because I want to. It wasn't part of my job description, but it was kind of one of those things where it's like, if he also knows it, then let's let him do it. So so I take care of all the web stuff, all of the IT stuff, and then networking.
So obviously I presume that how many websites does the church that you are actively managing for the church now?
Yeah, we have a multi-site, WordPress multi-site. We have about 4 different sites that run on that. We had upwards of about 6 or 7, and we ended up kind of folding those into the mother site. So we're not, dealing with as much multi-site type stuff. For folks out there, as kind of a cautionary tale, don't run multi-site if you don't have to.
Oh, it's that bad, actually.
Yeah.
I've got developers that do it for me, so I don't know. So, Jason, we're going to move into our break, and we'll come back, and I think in the break we're going to talk more about how you got the podcast started and the amount of work you have to put in it, and then also with my co-host talk some tech about sound and how you edited it. Be back soon, folks.
Okay, we're coming back off the break, but Jonathan's going to go and finish up WP Watercooler about some details and information. Go ahead, Jonathan.
So, you when did you start WP Watercooler? Jason?
Oh boy! So I had to go look because it's been a while. So we started September 24th, 2012 was when we first started. We've been doing this for quite a while now, at least the way I see it. And kind of herding cats is what I end up calling it.
You do it very effectively with a degree of calmness that I admire. So can you give some insights? Because it's a great idea to start a podcast, but can you give some idea to the listeners and the viewers on YouTube and on the website the kind of amount of work you have to put into it?
It's a ton of work. So the whole idea of wrangling cats, which trying to get all the folks that are going to be on the show figure out a topic, and then once we figured out a topic, we need to find some of the key folks that should be on the show. And then we have what we call like our regulars or our co-hosts that we have. We have about 5 of them, and so we pull in those people and say, okay, here's you're going to be on the show, and then here's all these extra people that we have. And we've done all sorts of different kind of different topics relating to both like WordCamps and doing recaps of WordCamps, which are pretty popular. And then we also do stuff where it's just, talking about, WordPress web development or design or social media or any of those sorts of things. So we pull in the right people, and we've had some cool people show up. We've had vice president of GoDaddy show up. We've had Matt Mullenweg on the show. So we've had other folks as well. So it's sometimes I forget who was on the show, and I'll meet them and they're like, "Oh, thank you for having me on your show." And I'm like, oh boy,
Jason, that happens to me during the show. So how many? I found it's kind of thinking up ideas and some structure to it. That takes a bit of time, and all the emailing. So what? Can you give some insight of your kind of? Do you have a kind of set procedure where you?
Yeah.
explaining them and give some insight about that, Jason?
Yeah, I sure do. On either Saturday or Sunday, I'll send out an email that just says, "Here's our topic. Who wants to join? Click on the link, and you can subscribe. You can get RSVP onto the show." So we do that, and we use MailChimp to send that out, and that's just a manual, mailing that we do. We already have the template already set up, and I'm saying we as the royal we, not as the collective of people that are on the show. None of those people do anything other than talk. So I'll take that and send that out, and then people will say that they'll want to be on the show and RSVP, and then after that we send out a MailChimp mailing after the show saying, "Hey, we recorded this. Go check it out." And now that we do WP Blab, that also gets kind of included into that email as well. And we use the RSS mailing through MailChimp to take care of that. So I don't even do any of it. It just automatically happens.
Yeah, so where do you get your ideas from? What the shows are going to be about?
Chris Lemma.
Oh, yes.
So I text message Chris Lemma and I say, or Steve Zanga, text message both of them, and I say, "Okay, guys, so here's what we're going to do. What do you think?" And then they say, "Well, I hate that idea, so we're going to do this instead." And I go, "Okay, perfect." And then we run with that.
Yeah, I've learned not to resist any decent suggestion.
No, none whatsoever. So I've had a few of them come in where it's my idea, and I'm like, "Okay, this is what we're going to do," and it worked out just fine. But we've also had some really great ideas from listeners where they'll just text in or text in, they'll send a tweet or something like that and say, "You guys should really talk about social media buttons," or "You should really talk about whatever." And we have over 199 episodes now, total 176 actual episodes. So we've talked about everything, and now we're getting to a point where we're now talking about it twice. We're going back and saying, "Hey, back in 2000 whatever, we should, we talked about this. Let's revisit that topic. Things have changed."
So, have you got any kind of, with the amount of, because you said in our pre-discussions that you've done a lot of podcasting.
Mm-hmm.
So, have you got any tips and tricks or reflections about if somebody's thinking about getting into podcasting, things that you learned the hard way? Just a couple of insights.
Yeah, I'm of the mind of, if you're going to put out really good content, put really good content out. But you also want to have a halfway decent sounding show. You listen to your own stuff, listen to it in the car, listen to it with horrible headphones, listen to it with really great headphones. Try all those types of things out and see what it's going to sound like. And if you can't listen to it yourself, then you probably are doing something wrong.
That's why Blab turning them into podcasts the last couple of weeks has really had some problems. It's taken some magic with Adobe Audition, declicking. And
Yeah.
I just verified today that it's definitely a Blab issue. Now, if I were to record an MP, like an RL5 and a mixer with a loop, we'd probably be okay, which I need to go back to. But that's so important what you just said. Hey, Jason, I'm going to jump in for a second. I've last year I did a test. I did a separate show, and I did 12 interviews of high-end podcasters. And because of Rob Welch, some of these high-end guys, Dave Jackson, Jim Paulson, and that was a great show. And I know him, but we came to the conclusion after I did these 12 that this is not prime time to be a separate podcast about podcasting. So I took 6 of those, I put them on timelines, and I started playing this new timeline thing. I'm convinced now more than ever, before you do a podcast, you should do a blab like you're doing the WP Watercooler Blab or whatever it is.
WP Blab.
And just put it right up. Do a great website, post it, learn all the tricks in there because it comes live. That may be a better use of your time than trying to create a podcast if you don't know how to create a podcast.
I totally agree. I call that episode 0. The idea where you're gonna play around and figure out what works for you and what doesn't work for you. Have your friends, family, and your mom and dad listen to it and figure out what's good and bad about it, and then run with it.
Jonathan and I just did that on a real estate show, and we did about 38 actually using Blab primarily. Got some really great interviews, and we just put up 3 or 4. And in fact, Jonathan, I haven't checked, but it should be up on iTunes, I would guess.
It is, Bill. Thank you for doing it.
It is up. It's physically up now. Good.
It's up now. That will grow. But we've done 39 shows before it, but we just we initially did it through Google Hangout, and then we moved to Blab, and they're on the YouTube because I've got my WP-Tonic, Jason, which is my maintenance company, and then I've got this crazy SaaS product that I built in WordPress called Mailwrite, which is a crazy crazy thing, isn't it, Bill?
Oh yeah, a lot of money. I learned a lot about development watching you through the process.
You learned how I spent money.
How to delegate.
Kept on spending gobs of money on it.
I do a lot like you, Jason. I'm sort of behind the scenes technical stuff. And
Jonathan I will say that if you want to have really good high quality audio, the best way to do it is to not have the audio go over the internet. And doing like a double ender or a triple ender or something like that, where you're having the recording happen locally, and then take that local recording and send it to somebody like Bill, who's going to sit there and listen for the clap or listen for the whatever, and then try to figure out how to shove that together.
Yeah.
And I've done that, and now there's tools out there that actually do that for you. So I don't know if you guys have looked at Mixler, but MIXLR is pretty awesome. And it's a great way to kind of do this type of thing where it just happens, and you can get somebody who's a very novice to be able to be on the show and not have to know how to do, audio, IT work or anything like that in order to be able to make things happen.
There's some other stuff out there that's really nice. We can record separate channels online. So and Skype is still good. Skype with call recorder still works well.
Yeah. So we're going to go on to your principles, Bill.
Yeah, since this is, we put this in with timelines. One thing we've discovered by accident is we actually have timelines is up 7 days a week, but we have dual RSS feeds, and it really helps the RSS feed grow. Actually, it's not a negative to have them on 2 RSS feeds because it leans it over to it and helps it build faster. So we're going to be on timelines here too. In the interview, we're going to ask about 3 life and success principles, and the first one you said was make awesome daily. What's that mean to you?
Make awesome daily, for me, it's the idea that that I take something that someone maybe isn't able to do 100% of the work, or they're really stuck and they're trying to figure out how to do it, and they can come to me and say, "Hey, Jason," or anybody in the collective group, and say, "Hey, can you help me out with this?" And so I jump in and help them out, and I want to make sure that I'm able to to kind of help other people do better with what they're doing. Also, make awesome daily is it just sounds cool.
So live by grace. What's that mean to you?
Yeah. Working at a church, living by grace means just to kind of, it's one of those really churchy, like you would see it like on a book cover with like doves flying off of it with like a ray of sunlight behind it or something. But the idea of living by grace is just to make sure that when things aren't going your way, that you take a second and you just think about it before you react. And so working in the support industry that I do, doing IT tech support as well as being director of IT, I have a lot of that, and I'm hoping that other people kind of live by grace a little bit too, because I need a little bit of leniency here and there as well,
Right. Hey, quick commercial for your church. What's the name of your church, and what's your website?
Yeah, it's evfreefullerton.com, and EV Free Fullerton is the name of the church. EV Free. Yep, FREE. And then Fullerton, that's the name of the town that's in.
Fullerton. I know Orange County well. I grew up in Costa Mesa, Newport. So all there is. Hey, so I just put the link in there. Very good. So next and final is work late. I like that. I can relate to that. You work late, other than a sleep cycle.
Yeah. it's not my favorite thing. It's not my favorite thing, but it also means that that I can get more work done. And sometimes work isn't actually work. It's just having that downtime where you can just go, okay, I need to sit here for a second and just kind of relax a little bit. I need to watch a little bit of Netflix. I need to poke around on my phone a little bit. I need to whatever. Just watch YouTube videos. I mean, I watch ridiculous amount of YouTube videos. I'd imagine a lot of you guys do as well. So it's just that take that time to kind of to be by myself and think a little bit. And so that's what I do.
I was a reservist, came back from Afghanistan, one tour. I watched YouTube videos for 2 months, just zoned.
Yeah.
It's addicting.
Yeah. It explains a lot, Bill.
Yeah, Jonathan knows. Secret spy, secret agent here.
It does explain an enormous amount, actually. But there we go.
So that's good. Let's go to our final break, Jonathan, and we'll come back. We'll do how Jason Tucker, how we can get a hold of him for the listener. Then one last question. And open it up to the Blab audience and get off the podcast so I don't have to edit all day.
You love it, Bill.
Go to the break. Okay, Jason, we're coming back from the break, and we just want to know, how can the listener get a hold of you? Give us a quick commercial, and then Jonathan will ask one last question.
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter. Jason Tucker is my name on Twitter. I also I run a whole bunch of different sites. Probably the one that relates most to podcasting and stuff is WPmedia.pro, where I do some articles and tips and tricks about how to do podcasting, how to record your first podcast, and it's kind of all the things that most podcasting folks do is they want to kind of share a little bit of their insight. There's nothing on here that's like paid or anything like that. So feel free to just go pop around on there and take a look at it.
That's great.
Sorry. Go ahead, Jonathan.
So I'm thinking of my last question. I'm going to use an old favourite, actually. I'm going to use one of my canned favourites, Jason. So
okay.
What is there one thing that you like to share with us that most viewers or listeners don't know about you, Jason?
Okay. So let's see here. So I've ran 2 other podcasts. I did a podcast called Geek Fit, which was a health and fitness podcast. And that was before, and there was a new Geek Fit, Geek-Fit, that's out now. I still own Geek Fit, so if you're interested in the domain name, we can make something happen. So there's that, and then the other is don't ever do a podcast with your wife. So my wife and I did a podcast together. It's actually not available, so you can't even listen to it.
Bill's become a wife in some ways.
So my wife and I used to sit right here, and we would have 2 microphones going, and we would talk.
Bitch.
Oh my God.
Oh, boy. So my wife and I did a podcast together, and so what we did is we would essentially bitch and complain about our kids. Like that was the thing on the show, was to do this, right? And they called this back then. This is during like the podcast media, expos and all that stuff from way back in the day. And so they had this term called couple casting, and we were part of a couple cast. So it was her and I would do these couple casts. And there's other couples that were out there that were doing podcasts, and we would call into each other's shows, and we leave voicemails. And I've been doing podcasting for far too long. I don't want to date myself here. So, but the idea was that it was just being able to do those sorts of things. So yeah, don't do a podcast with your wife. All sorts of
marriage still survived. It
still survived. It survived.
Right. All right. We're still having visions of what.
Hey, with that, we're going to finish up the podcast. Wave goodbye. Stay on so we can come back and just talk.
Yes, folks, we're going to have an additional discussion with Uncle Jason and talk more about his crazy experience. So if you want to hear that, folks, go either to WP-Tonic's YouTube channel or go to the website, and you'll be able to listen and see more of this kind of crazy interview.
And you can head over to timelinesofsuccess.com. Way too long of a domain name. Timelinesofsuccess.com. Or Timelines Netcast. It'll point to it, or Timelines, whatever. Hey, thank you, Jason. And that's the end of the podcast. Everyone stay on. Thank you, Blab audience, for listening in to us. It's time for you to come on and ask questions and give support. Also, we're going to do a little bit of, after the show, review a couple WordPress sites and grade those sites.
Ooh.
Okay, Blab
sounds like fun.
Blab is also having some other problems, and that's why it's difficult to go in and edit the show, is because they're using dubbing, and what happens is when we talk over each other, it really screws up the sound wave. So
it's doing all sorts of funky stuff.
Blab is really going through a lot of different things. Hey, MNX, you've got a new media exposition. I did it backwards.
Yeah. I haven't gotten to the most recent incarnation of it. I went to I did Podcast and New Media Expo. I did New Media Expo, and I did Podcast Expo. So I've done all of the old stuff. I ran the SoCal PodCamp. It was the one and only one that ever happened, and I had like the biggest names there. I had no idea that were the biggest names. I had Chris Brogan up on stage talking about stuff, and I had all these different people. It was just weird. So I did that, and that was great. I actually spent the entire time outside doing interviews. I didn't even get to watch my own thing. Okay. So that was fun. But that was the day before a Podcast Expo in Orange and where is that? That was Ontario, California.
John Lee Dumas just sent out an email blast with Chris Brogan saying, "Don't copy my podcast. Don't copy it. Don't copy it."
And then I won this.
That's nice.
This is the best geek. This is the best geek podcast for GeekFit Podcast Peer Awards 2008.
Wow,
that's pretty good.
Yeah, open the seat, Bill.
I did. It's open.
That's open. So
no one wants to talk to me. That's
well, it's terrible.
Right.
No,
I get it.
This is good to go into podcasting, though. Some details.
Yeah.
Do you like? Do you use Lipson or Blueberry? What do you use for?
We use SoundCloud for our hosting.
They're about to go under, folks. What are you going to do when they go under? They lost 18 million and 16 million. They've lost $40 million, and I think they could go under any day. We do a little bit of SoundCloud, but
I'm hoping that Google just swoops right in,
despise them,
just calls it Google Audio, and then makes the web interface look horrible, and then then we'll be done.
That's kind of strange. This SoundCloud thing that's happening.
Yeah,
that's a lot of money to blow.
It's sad, but you know what? I think the thing is that for podcasters, it made it really difficult to use as a podcasting mechanism. Like, there's no real way of getting like the download link. Like, they want you to use their RSS feeds, which I hope that no one here is using their RSS feeds, because the deal with the switching of the RSS feed is always fun, and you don't want to have to go through that. So I always tell people, make sure you own your feed, and that you own at least like one endpoint to people, being able to download your podcast. So that RSS feed is huge.
I use Lipson, but I know Todd Cochran really well, really like him. In fact, he gave me $1,000 ticket, VIP ticket to NMX and National Broadcasters last year.
Nice.
Yes, but Todd, Blueberry does, what do you use for your player? Do you use Blueberry or the SoundCloud exclusively? Yeah,
we started out with Blueberry. That was where we were hosting it and everything. None of my things make money. Like, WP-Watercooler doesn't make money. It can make money. It could probably make a bunch of money. But I don't accept any type of sponsorships. We don't accept any type of any of that stuff. So
you're the Bernie Sanders of podcasting.
Yeah, well, we don't do that mainly because I don't want to divvy up the money 7 ways and then everybody gets $6. I don't want to deal with that, because that's just too much effort for something that doesn't really pay out a whole lot. So what we use is we used to use Blueberry, and then Blueberry just cost money, and I didn't want to pay for the money for it, so we ended up ditching that. And then obviously SoundCloud costs money, but I use SoundCloud for other things as well. So I just kind of throw all my audio stuff on there and use that. But yeah, SoundCloud's kind of a pain, and I can see where they're having those types of issues.
Yeah, I would not recommend SoundCloud.
Oh, we've got somebody calling in, Bill.
Yep.
Hopefully they've got a website they want to review.
Oh, no, it's LA, Los Angeles.
No.
Lakers.
You never know. Here it comes.
Be that bad, they're Lakers.
Oh, they've got no picture either.
That's okay. Hey, welcome, Al West.
Can you hear us?
Are you related with Jerry West? Anybody know who Jerry West is out there? I watched him as a kid, a little tiny kid. I watched him.
I don't watch baseball.
Oh,
no, it's basketball.
We've got here. We've got a nice view of some concrete.
Nice.
Lovely.
Lovely.
That's all you're going to show us. Some concrete.
So anyway, goodbye.
Goodbye. Off he goes. That was exciting, wasn't it?
That was exciting.
That was typical blab, isn't it? That's why we don't have it on the actual podcast.
Some people only let people in they know. Know, like, and trust. Like Kim could come in.
Yes, Kim, join us, please. Any of you folks that got any websites that you want Uncle Tucker, Bill, and myself to review?
Let me speak to websites. So give me a second here, because I promised my guests this week I'd put their website.
Oh, he's got some guests to review. That gets it going, Jason.
Timelines.
Nice.
And we record him.
We're missing John Locke. He's probably still sleeping.
I didn't send out the email, and usually I send it out to him, and I'll hit John in a second. Let me see.
We miss John.
I just changed my on my timelines, my old show. I just changed the front page, landing page, to the schedule to get people used to the schedules before I go back to the home here. So let me go back, and we've got some fun ones. Oh, I've got a great one here.
Jeez.
Anthony Centrino, who I've interviewed a couple times, a Marine, making a lot of money, doing really well. He actually uses primarily YouTube, And let me get to his website here.
Oh, yeah.
He uses YouTube, and he's got a podcast that he doesn't produce, that he's just...
So, Jason, can you give any insights? What have been some of the most popular shows that have been on WPwatercooler?
Well, we're part of a YouTube network. So our first about 15 episodes, the show itself has about 4.5 million views on YouTube, and the first about 15 or so episodes, we were listed on the network's actual kind of listings, where they would send people to go check out the site and check out the podcast or check out the YouTube channel and stuff. So those ones obviously have, a couple 100,000 views each. But then later on, the main ones that I think are the ones that really bring in the most views and stuff are the recaps. Well, what we'll do is we'll ask one of the WordCamps to be on the show and to talk about, how they went through everything on their, with their WordCamp, and then kind of do a full-blown recap of what that show, what that thing was all about. And people love those because, especially since they're so timely, and since, YouTube is such a timely thing in some instances, it just makes it so that people just really want to, they want to hear about what happened, even though they just finished doing it 15 minutes ago, So those ones are pretty popular.
Oh, well, thanks for that.
By the way,
yeah, so don't use that because that's mine.
Melissa, yeah. I think it's changing so much. I didn't even like the word podcast.
Oh, here's John. Oh, John joins us.
Yeah, John, you wake up today. Have a nice.
Woken up.
You can come in if you want. We're about to start reviewing sites. I do have the first one's going to be Real Men, Real Style, which is nothing to laugh about. He has done extraordinarily well. And he talks about his first website costing $10,000.
Yeah.
Wow.
So what we want to do is look at this site, Real Men, Real Style. Let me put it up above as a topic, and you can start looking at it now. You see the link down there, and we'll go into, first of all, what do you think of the site? What do you think of the visual appearance? What do you think of the mechanics? And then what do you think it costs to create a site like this? Those are the three areas we're going to look at. And I'm going to start. I'll get the last 30 seconds once we get into this, so I can grab it. Couple seconds of silence, just boom. So I can go back and find the snippet to send to him. So I send that out to him, but Real Men, Real Style. So go ahead, pull that up. Jonathan, you want to lead off? I'm trying to Anthony.
Well, I was going to ask Jason if he's looking at it.
Yeah, I'm looking at it.
So what's your initial impressions, Jason?
Let's see here. So I always look at sites in a mobile responsive first before anything. So if it doesn't look good on mobile, then it makes it really difficult for me. I don't know if the target audience is mobile, but looking at it, the slider doesn't really work so well on mobile. But outside of that, I think the huge fonts that are being used are great. I think those are something that's really big for sites. You got these sites with these like 12 pixel, tall fonts. You can't read anything, and everyone's trying to stretch the font size up. So I think it looks great.
Is that a slider since it's not moving? It's a fixed position with a video in the middle.
Yeah, I don't know if I would. I mean, I guess I'd call it a slider because that's kind of the location where people put it. It's not the hero graphic, because hero graphics are, it's usually full width and then the highest thing up on the page. But yeah, I think it looks like a pretty great site. He's
using Genesis framework. I'm not sure what child theme he's using, but it's a Genesis framework.
Okay.
Yeah. It's my initial response to it. It's you can tell a lot of money's. I'm trying to get a balance position here. It's a bit like what you said, Jason. When you go into the mobile view size, obviously the main hero image doesn't adjust, and I'm not too sure about. And it's not easy, folks. I'm not totally sure about the tagline on the hero image clothes. Don't make the man; they reveal him.
You don't make the man. Okay.
I suppose it depends. Yeah, but the taglines like that are really hard. You got really got to work on them. I've learned that the hard way. Getting a message in as many few words as possible, but keep the core of the message is not easy at all. I would suggest, I do like the actual image, but like I say, when you go to mobile, it doesn't exactly work. But I do really like these. But I think after you the actual navigation, and I really do like these sections under the hero image. 5 texting secrets every man must know. They actually, they're very strong, the wording. You can tell they really worked on it. Actually, the wording is stronger in these sections than the actual hero page. Would you agree with that, Jason?
I totally agree. I'm looking here just to I'm digging through some of the things here. So for instance, the clothes don't make a man, they reveal him. That isn't actually text. That's actually an image that's being used on the page. So, and there's no alt text or anything like that. So it makes it really difficult for search engines to find it.
How do you get around that? Because I'm concerned about changing some of my website because I've got a lot of text that they're picking up and they're getting good search. How do you get around that?
Alt tags are big. Using alt tags. Also, just having elements that are on the page that have that text in there, even if it's like off screen or something, but at least having that text somewhere in there. Like I just quickly load up a view source on the page, do a search for the word clothes, and just kind of dig through there and see where that's at. H1 tags, obviously. I'm not an SEO person, and I don't try to tout myself as an SEO person, but I know kind of the basics. And so when I look at it, for instance, having the book on the right-hand side almost tells me that they're trying to sell the book. But yet clothes don't make the man, they reveal him. So that makes it really difficult for me to look at it and say, oh, so this is am I buying clothes from this company? Am I what's the end game?
One thing that I really don't like is you go to the main menu, it's just too large a list, the drop downs.
Does that give him a lot of SEO though? I mean, he's got a lot of great content built up.
No, that's not the point. But it's just when you go to resources, Bill, and if you go to clothing as well,
clothing is
and resources, these drop downs are much too long. You'd be better off shortening them, and then maybe having a sidebar navigation on the but especially I don't know, how does it work when you go in?
You don't like the big. Hey, by the way, break for a second, Nathan. I just want to introduce Nathan.
He might actually consider using them. You see that on a lot of websites. I've got slight reservations about what I'm going to say, Bill, but you get a lot of sites that use the mobile navigation even on the main view. You see that a lot. The only thing is, I've also seen a few people who are not experienced with websites. They don't actually realise the little black square with the lines is the actual drop down, is the menu. You click it and you get the menu. So it's a bit of a. What do you reckon about that, Jason?
Well, I'm looking here. If you just take the page and shrink it down, just grab the site and shrink it down. Actually, two hamburger menus appear. One shows up where it's just like a small menu of it, and then another hamburger menu shows up where it does a kind of slide over drawer. Yeah. And it. I always think of, can my mom navigate the site?
Yeah.
Because and who's the target audience? I guess.
What I say, Jason? Can our agent navigate?
Real estate agent, like real estate.
It's a bit like your mum, really. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm going to get crucified for that.
I still love you, Jonathan. It's okay.
I want to introduce Nathan real fast. Hi, Nathan. Thank you for coming up. Nathan is a tech writer, very successful online digital marketer out of Canada, but is down in New Mexico right now. Amazing mic. He's fairly new to podcasting, though, aren't you?
Yeah, I haven't been doing it for all that long. Actually, I'm in Mexico, not New Mexico.
I mean, I said Mexico, I thought. Anyway, I know you're down on the Baja Peninsula.
I hope you're digging a tunnel when Trump gets in. You're going to...
He's escaping. He flies over the United States. Hey, listen to how good Nathan's sound is, folks. And when did you start podcasting?
Podcasting maybe about a year ago, but I didn't have the microphone I have now. Back then I had a Samson Meteor mic and it picked up everything on the refrigerator. This one is light years better.
Isn't that awesome, the sound? It's a fairly new mic. It's designed to work with an iPhone, and I'm looking at it for real estate, that mic right now.
Yeah, great.
Isn't that awesome sound?
Shall we get back?
Plugging it right in, USB, aren't
What's
you?
that?
Just plugging it right in with a USB to the computer, aren't you?
Yeah, and well, it's got software to do with like a mixer and a couple of other things within my PC, but it took a while to get it working. It works much easier on the Mac. Apparently, it's like plug and play as opposed to plug and pray on my machine.
I had it
It took a while to get up and running, but once I got it up and running, it's been fine ever since.
What's the name of that mic again?
It's the iRig Mic HD. So let me just write it in the sidebar chat here.
To get back to this website. So I don't know if you would agree with this, Jason. It seems to me it's got some really good elements, and this has happened to me with MailRite. You put so much effort in, and you're really trying so hard, and you kind of get exhausted. But it's got some things that, if they were sorted out, would make it even a lot more better. Would you agree with that, Jason?
Yeah, I do. I mean, I like the way it looks. Like the site itself looks great, but I think the hard part with when you're doing any type of web development, web design work, is looking at it from like all these different lenses. And really looking at it to see like what's happening here and what's not happening here, and what should be, what things should be done a little better, and then testing it. Getting some type of test kit. You could use online tools to do the testing as well as actual hardware. I have a whole bunch of hardware laying on my desk at work that I use for testing, just so I can say, hey, this is what this looks like on this, and then hand it off to somebody and have them walk away and be able to look at it. So
but I think what you said, this but the main navigation on kind of traditional, and then when it goes to, then you've got these two menu systems on mobile view. Definitely got to work that. You got to work out something a bit better for that, and you got too many different choices. When you get the drop down in main view, you got these drop down menus are miles too long. And I think, and you got to make the slider, this video hero image, it's got to be responsive when you go. And I think you've got to have to work with your copywriter, because some of your other underneath are quite powerful, and I can tell you spent a lot of time. It's not easy, and I get them straight away, so you really worked on them. But that's not the case with this main tagline. It just doesn't work for me. I was a little bit puzzled by it. And I think there's some of the internal pages. I've just gone to one. Was it resources? Where no, it wasn't resources. There's another one. Living one of these top navigation. You go to a page, and it really does look very, very different. And then you got this other top. You got this other top menu, haven't you? You got the main, what I call the main menu, might be classified as a second menu. Where
we're kind of trained to look for, a bar that's going across the screen in some way. It could just be a bar of text, or it could be like this thing, a bar that goes across that says clothing, grooming, blah, 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 and then the search box on the side. So we're kind of trained to look at that first. And if you see the thing on the right-hand side there, you won't really notice it on the, in the logo, right next to the logo there. Where it says
I've come to the conclusion that this top in the header area is supposed to be the actual main navigation, and then this blue one is supposed to be a secondary. But like you say, I never even saw it initially. It was totally blind to me. I went straight to this blue navigation.
Yeah, I didn't see it until I made the site responsive, and then I saw two hamburger menus, clicked on it, and thought, oh, where are those at? And then, what's weird is you click on here, start here, and you get to the start here page, and it says, are you first time here? And then there's like, a video, there's like one line of text with a video there. all the other pages seem like they're, and not to use a pun here or anything, but very well groomed. And then you get to the start page, which is the first page that's, that you're going to go to, and it's not as well groomed. It's like you have this like beautiful, house, but the trail leading up to it, is just, it's not done right. So I'd love to see this get updated a little bit more and kind of look at it and see what you can do better to kind of show somebody, hey, here's what I actually do. Here's the story of this site, if that's the way you want to go about it.
Yeah.
So what about our guest, Nathan?
Real fast. Also, lead magnets. That you talked about that book. That's his lead magnets, and he's big in. By the way, when I interviewed him, he said he gets most of his list. He gets about 300 a day of emails, and he gets them mostly from the pop-ups that are on the site. There are a lot of pop-ups hidden in there. Anyway,
yeah.
You want to mention? Did you look at the site?
Yeah, I've had a look at it. I just, the thing that really caught my attention was the huge scrolling drop downs, which I find really distracting. There are too many items on each one. And the two different menus, like you guys have been saying, I find that confusing. It would have been better if everything was all on one line or minimized somehow so that, like instead of all those major headings on one page to break it up somehow, so that you would have, say, 4 items on the drop down, and then when you get there, then it has subheadings or something.
It just occurred to me, I personally think there's just too much going on this homepage.
I agree.
It's just he's trying to put, and I'm as guilty as the last person. And you could go to the WP-Tonic site and it scrolls and there's a lot on it. But you got to kind of balance it out. I think one of the problems with the homepage, you've got a sidebar. I think if you didn't have the sidebar and you just had what going right across, it would balance out a lot more. I think one of the problems on the homepage is, having the sidebar plus all the rest of it. I think it's just, you've got this whacking big long list on the sidebar as well, most popular posts.
It's too much.
He's just trying to do too much too soon, maybe. What do you reckon, Jason? You think
I would suggest going over to usertesting.com. And if you've never used user testing, it's the scariest thing ever for somebody who builds a website. So what you do with user testing is you go on there and you pay them a certain amount of money for it. And if you're making money off your website, then it's just a little investment to make sure your site's doing good. And then what happens is they go and get independent testers or testers that's part of their community to test the website. And they actually record the person doing the site, either on a mobile device or on the computer. And it's funny because we did this for our church website. I'm sitting there yelling at the screen, click the button, it's right there. And, because you tell them, I want you to go, you essentially set up a scavenger hunt. Like you say, I want you to find this thing. And they have to figure out where it's at. And I'm like, it's right there. Click on it. And what's funny is it's all people from all walks of life. It's people that are short, tall, this, that, nearsighted, farsighted. It's all over the map. So what's great about it is you can have those people test it and then come back and say, that this is my video that I recorded. Go check it out. And when you're done, you watch these videos and you're just like, oh my goodness. Like none of these people know, like how did somebody actually end up buying the thing that I'm selling on my website? Apparently they did. But how did they get there? And they went through 9 clicks to get there, and it's cool. Like, go check it out. You can actually do if I remember correctly, you can do one free one just to give it a try. Yeah. And it's the best thing ever, but it's also the worst thing ever. You'll want to quit doing web development or web design work because of using this.
I've used it. It is painful.
I've used it from the standpoint of actually being a user and doing one of the tests. And they gave me a test to do with the Smithsonian or some, and it said, you need to go and find this. I couldn't find it to save my life. I did it 3 or 4 times and I still couldn't find it.
That's awesome.
They approached me to be a user, by the way, user testing. They actually contacted me to be a user of it. And they said they even pay. They pay me a little bit.
Yeah, they sure do.
Yeah, and I didn't say I should have accepted it because I probably would have learned by accepting it. I should have done that in retrospect.
Well, it's not very much for your time.
Bring on the next.
Hey, real fast. I just want to mention one thing. I want to go over it myself. This is definitely Genesis framework, and I forgot which child theme he's using. But Genesis, and especially I use Dynamic a lot, does have that ability to put that right across from the logo. It's a real basic Genesis site where you can put the names across it. It's used by a lot of podcasters early on. John Lee Dumas started out with the Genesis site. Nathan, you mentioned, I forgot the name of the other site that's similar to Genesis, the one you use.
Well, I've been using Optimized Press. I don't know if it's similar.
Right.
Can they let us review your website then?
Hold a second. Let me hold, Jonathan. I just want to finish here. On this site, though, he's got a lot of good SEO. He makes good money, and it's working. He's got StyleCon, which is very successful. So he's done real well. He's been in business 5 years.
So, but the point is, Bill, that's great, and I'm really, it's fantastic for him. But I think with a little bit more insight and a bit of usability testing and a bit more thought on it, it'll make even more money, Bill.
I agree 110%. But here's the question: how much do you think he spent for the site?
Well, Jason, what do you? I think it's been professionally done, Jason. Don't you think?
Yeah, but I always tell my clients I don't do content, and so if the person was doing the design work also had to do all of that content, I don't know. I guess I would do maybe 10 grand, 12 grand.
Well, the content's worth a fortune, but.
Oh yeah, I mean, like I said, I don't do content, and I set up the infrastructure, and I just say, hey, go build your stuff.
I think for 10 grand, you could get something better than this now. Maybe maybe a year or two ago, but now with a good designer and having your content. I mean, he's got so much content. That's where the expense is on this. If you look at all this content.
Yeah.
It's
whether he was doing the content or whether somebody else did it for him. I mean, there's
a team.
It's really unless you've got gobs of money and you're really high and very experienced, very, very experienced people. It's really quite hard to get it spot on straight away. Tends to be a work in progress. No matter how hard you're trying, unless you're dealing with a top team, and then that's why you're spending gobs of money on it, because they enable you to serrate the process. Would you agree with Jason?
Yeah, and it also depends if there's a lot of functionality that's involved in the site. I'm not seeing a lot of functionality. I'm seeing just a lot of content and a lot of linking and things linking to one another.
Yeah, I do.
You have like those pages where the page is a taxonomy, list of a taxonomy. Yeah. Then you have another one that's a list of. There's just a lot of stuff going on this site.
Go to his premium courses. I think that would be one of the most important things. And I don't know what that is, where that's coming from, someplace. I'm here. Let me tell you a little bit of his background. He spent Marine, was in Iraq, spent $10,000 setting up his first website, which is a total failure. He's really good at design and style. I mean, that's what his passion is. And anyway, came back, so he started working at it. Suffered. Basically, went back, then learned WordPress, and then learned enough about WordPress where we went out and had others help him build it. Became friends with John Lee Dumas about 3 or 4 years ago, early on in the process, when before John Lee Dumas was known. And they're friends now. John sponsors the podcast that he's on. It's about soldiers coming back. It's a short one. But I think he used a lot of John Lee Dumas's early development team, and he's got a team of about 11. So you see a lot of that similarities. Now, John has moved up into the ionosphere. But
I don't want to sound like we're being super critical of the sites, and for me, not being a designer and just being a developer makes it difficult.
Yeah.
But you said to go to the premium products page, and the premium products page is not a page. Like, it's a page, but there's one image in the middle of it with a bunch of text.
Yeah.
And then some kind of grooming links on the bottom and stuff, but it has no SEO value whatsoever on it. I mean, there's no text that's on that page.
And also you're dealing with a continuity problem as well. It looks like totally different. But I've been here myself, Jason.
Those are widgets.
I've been here myself, Jason, with Mel Wright. I think you get exhausted. B, you can actually look at something too much. What becomes obvious becomes totally unobvious to you. I just think you might. I think it just needs a little bit. If it just had a bit more time spent on it and a little bit more money, it'd be a lot more better. It's not a disaster in any shape or form, but it just needs a little bit more thought and a little bit of tidying up, doesn't it?
Click the image. He's using ClickFunnels. He's not using ClickFunnels.
Oh, that's
interesting. Infusionsoft too. Click the image.
He's learned his lesson, Bill.
No, he's Infusionsoft. He has a team. One of his guys, he runs Infusionsoft, and he's got ClickFunnels. I think he's just testing ClickFunnels out or something. I don't know.
Huh.
There's so much. That's the things that we didn't even hit the mechanics behind it. ClickFunnels is really big now too, I guess. But there's so much to it. You pull your hair out.
So this is pretty much a squeeze page at this point. Then that the premium products page is just a squeeze page where there's just one link on it, and if you don't click on that, then go click on the other ones. I don't know. Me being a consumer and also being the developer, I see a squeeze page and I run away. Yeah. I can go, where did the navigation go? Where did all of the where did all the glitz and glamour go around the page? I'm out of here.
It depends on the nature of the squeeze page too. Like some of them, like this one is different from some of the ones I've used on Optimized Press that are like a 2-step thing. This one goes to an entirely different page, but looking at this particular page here, it's way too. This is actually a landing page. It's not really a squeeze page at all.
It's been done. I can tell you. I can give maybe some insight. I just think the person spent a lot of time, or the people on it, and they're just a bit exhausted. So you just slap it on in the end, and you need to go back and rethink it.
Yeah.
So that's what I've done it myself.
But I guess what's hard for me on this site is I'm not a customer of what he's selling. Like that, I'm wearing a podcasting t-shirt. I am not his end his own customer. So it makes it really difficult for me to look at a site like this because, like I said, I run away from sites like this because it smells of infomercial when I see that type of thing, and I'm just like, I'm out of here. Well, I don't buy a lot of stuff, so when I look at this, I kind of go like, okay.
So Nathan, do you want us to look at your website? No. Come on.
You're sandbagging me, are you?
Yeah, well, come on. Put the link. You joined us. Put the bloody link in.
Hey, Jonathan, you talk about copyrights, right? You got a copyright down here.
All right. Put your link in, Nathan, or we'll be gentle.
Website.
We promise to be gentle.
He's got better sound than any of us, and he's using a USB plug-in to a PC, which is pretty amazing.
Well, I think my mic doesn't do bad, Bill, does it?
No, you've improved a lot, Jonathan. Over 2 years,
so where's the link, Nathan? Where's the link? Come on, baby, put us the link in.
There's only one problem.
Are we going to have to Google your name? Is that what we're going to do here?
We're going to have to Google your name now because you got a few seconds to make your mind up, or we get somebody here that's brave.
There's no point putting it in because the site isn't finished.
He's like, I have 9 pages on my site.
That's the time to get some advice about it.
You've been around for a long time, so you got a lot of websites hanging out there. You got some that, like me, I'll be like,
yeah, go on.
You're not the Nathan feed.
Oh, there you go.
Nice picture.
You're putting yours up, Tucker.
Why not, right?
Oh, no, this put his up. Let's have a look at his then. Uncle Tucker. What can you say about this?
Oh, that's right. We were looking at that earlier, weren't we?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I wanted to put up was the testing site.
Whoa!
Look at theirs because they know they should know.
Jason, I need to give you a big heads up. I just clicked on your site and my Avast software went off and it says threat blocked. You've got an infection on your site.
Ooh!
Well, I paid extra for that.
Your host.
I paid extra for that.
Let me just read it. Actually, hold on a second here.
Who's your host?
I don't know how it has to do with The Google Chrome says it's an infection JS : redirector -BZE. It's a Trojan.
Huh.
Ooh.
That's awesome.
Nah.
And it says the object is jasontucker.us/WP content/plugins /GIF.
You know when you know how they say that.
We now know how he makes his money.
Well, I don't make any money. That's the thing. I don't make money off of my site. My site does not make money. My site is purely a vanity site of all the different things that I do. That's it.
Yeah.
Well, somebody's capitalizing on your vanity then.
Hey, Nathan, don't go away. I'm going to buy that mic today. There's two of them I want to verify, but I'm going to let John Lock. And John, you want to come in? I think he should come in for a while.
Let John
Okay.
in.
Want me to hop out?
Yeah.
Oh,
He's gone.
Oh.
you want to go buy stuff on Amazon?
I'm letting him in.
So you, Jonathan, and Bill are also, your co-hosts.
Yeah, I'm gonna make some of the rest of you. I'm gonna make John a co-host as well, because anything can happen on this blab. It's just a crazy. No, so apart from the security threat, Jason,
Sorry, mate. That's awesome. Things happen. Things happen. Right?
You just gotta take it. And,
I don't care. It is what it is.
It is what it is, isn't it? The only thing I would say, Jason, is I just think it's just an initial impression. I love the picture of the pier. And I love that picture of those. I don't know where you got those cool stuff, those cats. I just love that picture of those cats. Yeah, it's but it's your site. But so you got Jason.
So if you go in like the photography area or the projects area and stuff, I have a whole bunch of different things that are in there.
Yeah, it's nice.
Again, I'm not selling anything.
No.
Oh my God, you found my interview on IdeaMensch. That's not my site though.
Well, you won't show us your site. Come on, put the URL in, or we're going to find.
All right.
Yeah, I want to see.
Like
I want to see what.
Finished yet, but I
want to see what infections you have on your site.
Come on, put your site up. But what can we say about? What about you, John? What can you say about Mr. Uncle Tucker's site?
Not going to it.
He's not going there. He's not going there. What's that?
Clean it up and then I'll go to it.
Pardon? Sorry?
I said just get it cleaned up, call Sukuri, and then I'll be happy to go to it.
Yeah. Well, it happens, doesn't it?
It happens
you're
to
busy,
everyone.
You're a busy guy, Jason. The blobbing and podcasting and coming on this crazy show. What can you say? So on to the next one. We're not going. So is this? Oh, this is the link.
Yeah, finally. Like I said, the site isn't finished yet. It's just I just barely put it up a few days ago, so it needs a lot of work. So
what is its purpose? What do you hope to achieve with it?
My long-range goal is to create a network television show. And I'm following the advice given to me by Tim Gillette, who I met, who is a radio show host. He has millions of listeners. And so my goal is to either wind up with a radio show or a television show or both, broadcasting to millions of people. So the purpose of that site is more of a placeholder for the podcasts and videos that I'm going to be doing. Tim Gillette gave me a challenge, which I'm going to start working on. Well, I've already started working on it. And the idea is to produce a 30-minute video every single day for 30 days and upload them to YouTube, do a podcast and everything else. So that's the real purpose of that site. It's not so much meant to sell anything or do anything in particular. It's just as a placeholder for me to help get that exposure out. So that's what the purpose of it is.
Right. So, Jason, would you like to start off? And then I'll ask John. So what's your initial thoughts?
Let's take a look here.
Can you see the link, folks?
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now. So, there's a box on the right for subscribing to your mailing list. So that's good.
Yeah, I haven't set it up, as you can see, though.
Yeah, some intro text and stuff like that. So that's cool.
And then we look at the interviews. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm going to be replacing those probably. So
you're doing this. You're doing this yourself gradually, then.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like I said, I only put it up about 5 days ago, maybe, and just the entire thing is done using Optimized Press. I've been working with that for quite a while now.
I haven't got much. Have you got any experience with that, John or
No.
Jason? I haven't got much experience with it. Is it a kind of drag and drop kind of system?
Yeah, to a degree. There's a certain amount of that. It's more than that. You can customize the living daylights out of it, but that takes more work, and you need to know CSS and stuff like that, which I don't know very well. I've tried to keep it as simple as I can.
What about you, John? Got any initial faults?
I think this is like a. I mean, I think it's good. It's responsive. I think that it's it's very clean, which I like. That I can. It's legible. It's not over cluttered with stuff. It's very, very simple, which I think is perfect for that. So the about page is the first thing. And I think the only thing I would like maybe add is just kind of at the top, like maybe make it like, clear, like what it is the site is offering or what the service is.
Yeah, my initial, what I would have done, but because I don't have the content on it yet, is to make the interviews page the number one, because that's the most important part of the site. The about me is what someone can read later, but what I really want to have are the interviews going up. That's where the focus is going to be. And just putting in place a little bit about what that is before getting into it. And that's about it.
Yeah, I think having some type of like landing page that tells people about, essentially a homepage that you could then use Google Analytics or use your favorite analytics, tool to be able to kind of determine what people did when they actually went to the page. If they scroll all the way down the page, if they read all the stuff that's on there, or clicking the links, makes it a little difficult when the landing page is that page.
Yeah.
Because then you don't really get those analytics unless somebody leaves the page and then comes back. Which most of the time, unless they come back, it's because they were really compelled to see what was on that site.
Yeah. Well, okay. When you're talking about a landing page, like just create some sort of a
homepage. I don't want to say landing page because that sounds very marketing, and I'm not a marketing person.
Okay.
A page that when you go to the site, it shows you, it shows what's going on about you or whatever. Just something that has a couple links that goes off to the other parts of the site.
Sure. Okay. No problem. I can do that.
Maybe like just the homepage. Just kind of combine some of the things so they can jump off to different points.
An introduction
Absolutely.
page, and then just a little bit about what the site is about, and a link to the about me page and a link to the interviews page, something like that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
One thing I would say, Nathan, too, if your goal is to get an even wider audience, I would give yourself I would plan on doing YouTube for about 2 years. If that's your goal, is to get like massive exposure.
I've actually been on YouTube a lot longer than 2 years, but the challenge that I have from Tim Gillette, which is a 30-day challenge, and the other part of the challenge, which I'm actually doing at this very moment, is getting on Blab as much as I can and helping people with what I know and understand, and creating a name that way. But what Tim was telling me about the YouTube challenge, also a press release, which I have as well. And
good deal.
But he was explaining to me, you need to set it up in a particular way. And you notice that, I mean, the one thing I have to fix is this bit of a shadow behind me. But other than that, it's just a very simple studio type of setup. And then just broadcasting in that way. And then what Tim was telling me, there was somebody who was following this particular challenge. And on the 25th day of that challenge, back in the days of Oprah, they were picked up for a taping at the Oprah show. So
Nice.
Yep.
Okay.
Would you? One thing I'm noticing, which you're going to probably you're working on, is at some stage you're going to have. It might be a good idea to have some search ability that's easy to access. But you're probably working on that. The other thing, obviously you just got this up and you're working on it, is, and I like what John said, you're going to have a homepage probably at some stage.
Yeah, that's a good plan, yeah.
The About Us page, obviously, because you're from a copywriting, you understand Word. But what you got to be aware maybe is also a visual medium, and it's always that balance that actually come to the conclusion, and I'm really thinking here about the MailRite site, and I'm trying to sort it out, is you've got to really think about what font you're going to use for your main copy, and how that font, how your H2s and your H3s, and how you're going to really break that copy down so it engages as quickly as you hope, and it encourages further that they click inwards, and it's getting that right balance on those initial pages, and actually it takes a lot more thought about readability, size of font, and how you match it than you initially think, and it does have a big impact about how people initially engage with the page. Does that make any sense, or am I babbling?
Of course. No, you're not babbling. You make perfect sense. And
there's a lot more to that meets the eye, and I've learned the hard way. What about you, John? Would you agree with that?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, definitely just have like the homepage be a landing page. Just kind of explains like what it is that you're doing, and just connect with the people that you're targeting. So,
because I think there is, especially on mobile devices, you really got to, when you really look at it in the short mobile view, which yours is, I just feel the amount of copy that is appropriate at a certain level, as because obviously you're getting a message over, but you've got to size, spacing, more headers, breaking it up into logical chunks. People read a website in a very different way to a book or a newspaper or even a magazine. It's been proven, isn't it, Jason, that they just
I mean the whole eye tracking thing and being able to kind of see how, especially when things kind of intercept in the middle of the page, which this isn't happening on this particular site, but you end up where somebody will start looking at the page, and then they'll see some kind of bar going across this, and they'll stop, and they're like, they never actually see anything else below that. We've tested that on a couple sites where I run a couple news websites where those sites will have a bar across of it, and no one will ever leave a comment. But if we turn the bar off, people start leaving comments like crazy. And we've even A/B tested it by looking, putting in those bars just to see what it does. And it's true. People stop at it. They're, well, I'm at the end of the website, even though there's hundreds of comments that are below it, and they don't even notice that they're there because you've tricked them by putting a big stop sign right in the middle of the website.
Interesting. Yeah.
So keep that in mind, because I think it's a great start, and you're working on it. And I think I would have more pictures, because they probably are interested in you. So break it up with headers. Try and group the sections in some logic, and visualize it a bit more, and concentrate on your headers and breaking it up into, so you don't end up with just that kind of.
Well, actually, the way that I set it up was not like with what you were talking about. I just took it straight off my press release, actually.
Yeah.
And I didn't even think about headers or anything else, but no, I just took it straight off the press release.
Yeah, we all do it. And it's a great start, like you say, you're starting with this. It's an ongoing project. It's just that we all done it. And I've done it, but it just takes a little bit more thought, and you'll get there. And by doing that, you get a lot. But you saw with the last website, one thing you're doing well is you haven't got enormous navigation.
No.
You're keeping it simple.
I can't stand complicated sites. When it comes to design, I come from a place of simplicity. I learned that in art school. But no. I mean, the other site, one of the things I wanted to say about it is that there was so much information on it. There was too much information. And if it had been me looking at that thing, I would have thought, okay, how can we break this down into sections and create perhaps multiple sites dealing with more specific categories to do with what was going on instead of trying to address everything all in one place. It was overkill, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's great. So,
in that navigation repeating over and over and over again to the point where you're seeing the same. Like I'm looking at it, I start building a sitemap in my head of all these different links, and then you start seeing the same navigation repeating on the page. Yeah, it gets dizzying really, really fast.
It seems to be a common problem, and that fellow would not be the first one to do it.
Yeah,
I've made that mistake too, and I've just wound up turning off the navigation and just one straight thing across the top. I try to keep it as simple as possible. I don't like using drop downs unless there's absolutely no choice. On one of my sites, I do use it, but I'd prefer not to.
Come on, folks. Anybody else got any websites do you want us to look at?
Somebody in the chat was asking, RJG Coach was saying that his site, we should take a look at it.
All right, where is it? Oh, it's here.
Yeah, it's in the chat.
All right, let's have a look. Let's have a look. Thanks, RJ. Yeah.
There's. What are you guys seeing when you look at it?
Give us a second.
I like one big image with a guy with a trophy and a giant check. But the thing with it, and I don't know what you guys are looking at it on. I'm on a laptop, and I see the menu on the top right, but I didn't even see the enter button because it was on my screen, at least because I'm on a laptop, below the fold.
Yep.
Yeah, for me
I
too.
didn't even know it was there until I accidentally scrolled and thought, oh, there it is. Okay.
And what's hard about that is there's nothing after that. So when you scroll down, your eye will never go down to the bottom and see in the middle of the green block. So that makes it really difficult.
Yeah,
I would stick text around it. I'd stick text around it saying, we're holding this check because we work hard and blah blah blah. Something around it just to say, like, click here to enter. It's kind of one of those like interstitial type pages. It's an entry page, almost like back in the day where they had like flash sites where they would have this like video that would play before you go to the restaurant website, just trying to find a phone number.
I would, I think if this were me, I would get rid of these social buttons here.
Yeah, I agree.
Because if you're just coming to this, there's no reason for you to share this.
Right.
Agreed.
And maybe put that enter button there. And actually, I would put like a couple more sentences about why you would be interested in entering the rest of the site.
Yeah, it doesn't say enough. Like it says head coach, CEO. That's way too small on the page. And like you're saying, there's got to be purposes. Why do I want to enter this page? What's in it for me? And I'm not seeing any of that at all. And the check doesn't make any sense to me. What's it about? And like that image, if you're going to use the image, make it a lot smaller. It's way too big on the screen.
I don't know if you're finding it. If you go to the coaching page, they've got this drop-down menu. You go to the top bar. Sometimes it shows, and sometimes if you scroll, it shows, and then it disappears and it re-shows. Which
oh yeah, you're right.
It's
Which menu are you talking about? You mean at the bottom or
the top. You go to the coaching page. You start moving the page down. The top menu appears, and then it disappears as you scroll back up.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a weird page to me. I don't quite get it.
Do you want?
I'm not a fan of the font.
Yeah, well, I've used a similar font on on Mailrite actually, and yeah, I understand where you're coming from, Jason.
Like, if you're going to use the font like that, use that font as like once or twice.
Yeah.
Like that's like your accent font, if you will. It's like almost like an accent color. But when you're using it everywhere, I don't know what. I guess I'm supposed to click on all the things, not just It's like it's. I don't know. Whenever you use something that's different, you're kind of indicating to the person, "Hey, this is different. You should go do something with it."
The other thing,
everything's different. So it's the only thing that's normal font is the stuff like below "Learn to Win." Like, you have "Learn to Win," and then you have the text.
Well, this coaching topics. The page looks totally different to all the other pages, doesn't it?
Yeah,
like
the headers at the bottom of I guess you would call it the footer on the main page when you come to the site. That's the kind of font that I would be expecting to see. But this other one, this like RJ Grimshaw, when you go to this next page, once you hit the enter and you see the stuff at the top, one of the problems is a lack of consistency. But the other thing is it's dangerous from a marketing perspective to do this kind of thing. Far better off to use something like Helvetica, some sort of sans serif font. I've been reading about this stuff in advertising. It's like stuff like this should be avoided, unless, as one of you said, that it should be just like a one-time thing.
Yeah, I think it's okay. I've done it myself. You it for the H1s. We don't have it. It's very interesting to see this because in some ways, especially the homepage, is the opposite sister of the first website. The first website is information to my mind, and I think we all agreed. Obviously, John wasn't with it, but you were maybe watching what we were saying about that first website, John. It had too much information on the homepage. It literally had a mass of information. Where this website, RJ, and I think you've got a good platform. I think you've got some good photography, and I can see what you're trying to do. But it's a little bit puzzling when you hit that front page. What is this website about? And like what John said, you got those big social media buttons, but if you don't really know what it's about, you're not going to click a social media button, are you, John?
Yeah.
No, not really.
What's interesting about the coaching page, which is the one that I see as kind of the most standard type of page, is that there's no navigation until I scroll about halfway down, and then the menu bar shows up. But by then, I'm already seeing the menu that's at the bottom of the site, which has almost been like the only constant that's been on every page, is that menu bar on the bottom. And I don't mind menu bars on the bottom. I've actually seen a lot of people where they'll scroll down to the bottom to find a menu because they don't want to deal with drop downs or they don't want to deal with any of those sorts of things. So they just go find the menu at the bottom and then start clicking on them, which also means that, you need to make sure that the menus are consistent both on the top and the bottom. But I'm not a big fan of the scroll down and have the menu appear. I don't mind seeing the menu disappear or reappear when you stop or something like that. But hiding it at the beginning, it kind of throws me off a little bit because I don't have the search box or any of those sorts of things on that page.
To be quite truthful, if you go to mobile usage view, actually the site makes a little bit more logic, a little bit. The home page is still, because there's, apart from these big social media buttons and the main hero image of the three guys, there's absolutely no indication what this site is really about. But actually, in mobile view, the navigation works a little bit more effective than normal view. But there is a lot lacking in consistency, RJ. there's a lack of message on the home page, and you really need to work on that. And then there's a lack of, and like what the other guys say, using one of these fancy fonts. I think it's perfectly to use it maybe once on the H1 and maybe one other header title. But apart from that, you really got to cut it back because, you got to do that. And I think there doesn't, and I don't know if the other Jason and John would agree with this, there doesn't seem to be a structure. I'm trying to find the right words. A structure.
I know what you're talking. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Where the idea of that when you use a theme, it's a theme. So there's a consistency throughout the whole site, and it doesn't seem like that there is one. So at some point you may have said, "Oh, it'd be really great if I had this type of menu show up on this page," but then on this type of this page, it gave you too much control. So you weren't stuck in the confines of the theme.
Well, I had Sean from Fry Themes on, and he's a great marketer. And he said, we're looking at one of my websites, and he said, you got a contradiction. I had a pop up, and he said, what is that page for? What is its purpose, and how does it relate to other pages? What is the outcome that you're looking for? And I couldn't really tell him, Korean. He said, you need to go back and really think that out a bit more, which I've been doing, because every part of the website and every action you're trying to get should be planned in a way, and that's the outcome you're looking for. Would you agree with that, John?
I absolutely would agree with that. Every site has to have a goal, like an overarching goal, which is you want them to work with you. And then every page has to have a goal, which, somehow drives them toward the overarching goal of the site. So definitely I agree with what you're saying about consistency in the pages. I think it would help if all the pages were kind of looked the same, or, had some consistency to it. The coaching page, like, there's no header. When it does appear, it's smaller than the header is on the rest of the pages. I almost don't like the main navigation, like, appearing like there. It's almost like on a delay, how it like.
A little bit like now.
It froze.
He's froze. You need he's come back.
Yeah, 3 seconds later. Two other things I would say, like, really, really quick here. One thing that would improve your chances, I think, of people hiring you as a coach would be have some success stories or testimonials of how your coaching, like, helped people, where they were before and where they were after, like, coaching with you. And I think that would greatly improve.
Something else too, and I thought of the same thing when you guys were looking at my site, which I need to do. Jonathan was making some comments about the headers, and you as well, John. And with the one of the things that came to mind is putting video of you actually speaking or coaching somebody. And part of what I need to do is, like, I need to set up my YouTube channel in a particular way. And one of the things I need to do is put up a trailer. So that same trailer I could use on my site in the introduction. And I know that's going to help.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But don't RJ, don't take it too hard. I just think, a bit more work. But I think this navigation, you might be better off just going for the mobile navigation when you're looking at it on a laptop or on a normal computer screen size. And I definitely wouldn't use this stylized font for your navigation buttons. I think it's maybe fine for your logo and maybe your H1s, but I wouldn't use it for your navigation. It's just too over the top. It's too much. What do you think, Jason?
Yeah, when I first saw it, I wanted to find what font that was, because and I hate to say this, but it reminds me of Comic Sans. So I wanted to look at it and see like what font is this and what font was actually being being used. So yeah, I'm use it for the logo or even have a logo. Just having extra fonts like that just seems like it for one, especially if you have a lot of fonts that are loaded up on the site, it ends up making the site pretty heavy because it's having to download each one of those fonts and then use those fonts to be rendered on page. And I've seen a few pitfalls where people will go and they'll turn on a bunch of fonts thinking that they're going to use them. And then what ends up happening is something like Typekit or Google or whatever, the fonts will start being loaded in and then they never actually be displayed. So you've downloaded something that you're not even using.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's true words. So, yeah, this is version 1 of the site. The first of many. I'm sure the site design will never end. It seems. True words, yeah, it's true words, Nathan. But I think it's a good start. I think you just got to I think you've got some excellent advice. You know, I would remove using that font on your navigation. Look at consistency. There are problems with consistency, RJ. One of those pages looks completely different to the others. You need a consistent look, and you need to work out your flow. That's what I call it, the flow of information, what you're trying to, the outcome, the way you're trying to influence your target audience on each page. What are you trying? What is your message? And that also will help with the SEO, because if it really isn't very clear in your own mind what each page is, it's going to be very unsure for Google, because you're dealing with a 5-year-old in the way they view sites. So it's got to be pretty clear what each page is about, and you've got to work out, and that will help with the SEO anyway. What do you reckon, John?
Yeah, definitely. If you want to be found for coaching too, that front page, I would almost like have don't make it like an entry page, but below the photo. If you're trying to rank for coaching or whatever it is, you're going to have some text on that page, or that homepage is not going to rank for it. So
yep.
And it's the same with you, Neff. When you hit that home page, it's got you got to be in the eyes of your users. They're searching. They might the various ways they got to you. If somebody already knows you, they're going to be a little bit more. Trying to find the right word here. They're going to be maybe slightly more patient. But if it's somebody from general search or general social media, you really got to get across what the purpose of the site and what it's about pretty rapidly. Mm-hmm. Because if they're in general search mode, you haven't got long, have you? Would you agree with that, Jason?
Yeah. Yeah, if they show up on the site and the first thing they see is you holding a check, but they don't really know what you're coaching about or what you're doing, yeah, it's going to make it difficult. I totally agree with John. You want to make sure that page has like all of the hard-hitting pieces that you really, really need. So that way people are doing searches, they're going to find this stuff. Think about what people are searching for. I'm not saying that you need to build your content to be searchable like that, but think of the things that people are searching for. And then try to add those types of things to the site. Don't go overkill and start stuffing in keywords and all that, because Google's smarter than that. But take a little bit of time and try to find what's the right mixture there, and play with it. And definitely, if you haven't done A/B testing before, definitely learn how to do A/B testing and figure out how that works, because that's going to help you out tremendously in trying to find how you're supposed to rank and which ways you should be, and even who your target audience is. Because I'm not entirely sure who your target audience is, even after looking at the website.
No.
The other thing too that goes along with what Jason is saying is to think about what you're doing from the mindset of the customer. And if you're what is your customer looking for from you? What and the pain points too, because that's so often the key with this, and certainly with what I'm doing, I'm dealing with helping people solve a major pain problem. And if you use that approach with your site, it's going to help you quite a bit.
Right, I think we're giving RJ some food to thoughts or whatever it said. I think my co-host wants us to look at Podcasters Home. I presume you do. So shall we click it? Or does he want Nesca? I don't want you going. Oh, he's gone.
John, yeah, I got to come back. You can continue on. What I did was I didn't do podcast. No. He was asking for information. I want to go to usertesting.com. I think that's a good one to look at. I'm going to have to step off because Apple is calling me at 11 o'clock. You guys can continue on. I'll edit this afternoon. Got gymnastics today. You know, we got in town. We got the gymnastics meet. I was supposed to be setting up last night. My wife has been working. So. Really, what's going on with Blab with you?
I don't know if you guys are having issues, but
I think we're getting a good recording.
Been nonstop issues.
Yeah, I think we've got a good recording, Jason. What's going on?
Yeah, I'm worried. It's
I
don't have my,
it's been clicky clacky.
Blab is having that problem right now. They talked about it earlier.
People have been slowing down, speeding up. It's crazy.
Well, it's funny, Jason,
Nathan's
because
in
you
Mexico,
seem fine.
He has a better connection than I do. Oh gosh, it's the worst on my end. Like everyone's moving around. Jonathan looks like he might as well be Super Mario. Like everything is all pixelated. Nathan's is like this beautiful.
Hey, you know what I'm getting?
This is this like beautiful 4K image of a white background with him on it. I don't know what the deal is with it. It's so weird.
Jason,
and then it looks like it looks like Bill's having
issues. Cloudflare. They're using some kind of technology where they have servers everywhere because
I don't know.
Real fast, can you hear me, Jason? I think he's delayed. So you know what?
So
Jason
what
needs
site
to
were we going to
recycle.
look at?
You need to refresh, Jason.
Refresh. Explain how it's working.
I'm going to head out too. I've got yet another thing to go to. It's been.
Thanks, Nathan. I'll see you next week. We've scheduled
Tuesday.
Thanks,
Tuesday at 5 o'clock.
Yeah, sorry about the moving it. No, we moved it up. If you looked at it, we'll talk offline because I've got a client Tuesday night at 6. But
okay. Well, send me an email.
Are you good Tuesday morning at 9?
What was that?
Tuesday morning at 9 Pacific a.m.
Oh, I can do that. Sure. I thought it was.
Yeah, that's what I scheduled. I scheduled Tuesday morning 9 Pacific.
I better. Yeah, I'll have to send you an email to check.
He's trying to get back in. Is he?
Yeah, we're letting him back in. So, all right, Jason.
Okay. I'll see.
Let me tell you what's going on. I think the best because I'm paying attention because I'm writing the book on or the short course on Blab. I think they have like cloud servers or like they have servers in a lot of different places, sort of like Cloudflare. And I think it's not a caching, it's some kind of live feed, I'm guessing.
You want to stop Jason and retry?
Yeah, Jason recycled once. Hey, Jonathan, we do need to finish up.
Yeah, we do really.
Jason, I think we need to finish it. We appreciate your time. I had a lot of questions to ask Jason too, but I do have these folks calling, and this is raised for update.
Well, we've been at it for 2 hours, Bill. So I
expect Apple to call up any time now because they're supposed to call back at 11. But I did want to go over. I think not now, but maybe next week the U testing site. Just if everyone glances at that should be what right looks like. U testing. You know, we can go over that site next week.
Yeah, we'll go over it next week.
To do it, but U testing is a pretty. So
shall we call it a day then? Bill?
I think so. I'm busy, man.
He's had a hard day with Apple, folks.
You know, I was supposed to set up the gym last night over at the Nugget. They're doing the big gymnastics meet here in Reno, and I'm a roadie. And this is one of the first times I got out of it because of the podcast. I said, "Well, I got to work. This is my job. I got to work." Because I had a show.
I'll just say thanks, Jason, for coming on. I'll send you an email later on, and you were a great guest. And thanks, John. Your input was great, and I think we had a pretty good show, didn't we, Bill?
Yeah, Nathan and Jonathan. Hey, what do you think on Nathan? He's got some pretty nice stuff. You know, I wanted to talk to Nathan about that mic. I might order that mic because it works with this. And he's not using anything. He's not using a compressor. It's really an amazing sound, and it's got some software inside the computer. So I'm going to really look at that mic. It's the best mic I've heard in a long time.
So you're going to pause the show, and I'm going, Bill.
Yeah, I'm going to let you go knock out.
I'm blabbed out, Bill.
Goodbye, wave goodbye.
See you later, bye. See you later, folks.
Okay, folks, that terminates another WP-Tonic on Timelines. It is, again, February 27th, about 11 o'clock. I'm waiting for the Apple people to come up. And again, you can go to WP-Tonic.com or timelinesofsuccess.com, or better yet, just go to netcasting101.com. And we'll be back tomorrow. If you have a website you want to review, just give us a yell. And we'll be reviewing more websites next week. Take care. I want to